Did you know that the reason you're bombarded with cookie pop-ups every time you visit a new website is because of one powerful privacy law in Europe? The EU's cookie consent law forced Meta, along with many other tech giants, to rethink the way they track user data online. For a company like Meta, which relies on detailed user data to target ads, this law changed everything. In today's episode of Bizarre Regs, we'll explore how the EU's cookie consent law put a dent in Meta's ad game, altered digital advertising, and led to those pesky pop-ups we all know so well. So what exactly is this cookie consent law? Part of the e-privacy directive, this law requires websites to get user permission before tracking their online behavior through cookies. Cookies, those small pieces of data stored on your device, are what allow sites and advertisers to remember you and tailor their content accordingly. But in 2002, and later amended in 2009, the EU decided that users should have a choice in whether their data is tracked. The result? Any site targeting EU users now has to display a consent pop-up, asking permission before using cookies to track browsing habits. And it doesn't matter if the company is based in Europe or not. If they want to operate in the EU, they have to follow the rules. Now, why did this law impact Meta so much? For a company like Meta, which thrives on tracking user behavior to provide precise ad targeting, the cookie consent law was a big challenge. Suddenly, instead of collecting data seamlessly, Meta had to ask users for permission to track them across websites and apps. And if users said no, that meant Meta couldn't gather as much data to fuel its ad algorithms. The result? A reduction in the effectiveness of targeted advertising, making it harder for Meta to maintain its dominance in the ad space. This wasn't just a minor inconvenience. It fundamentally changed how Meta approached advertising in Europe and beyond. Here's a fun fact. In 2019, Facebook was fined $3.9 million by the Italian Data Protection Authority for not properly informing users about data tracking. And they weren't alone. The e-privacy directive caused waves across the tech industry, forcing companies worldwide to adapt or risk losing European customers. Tech companies had to come up with workarounds or make their practices more transparent. For Meta, this included tweaking its user experience to comply with regulations while trying to minimize the impact on ad performance. Of course, the cookie consent law is a bit of a mixed bag for users. On one hand, it gives people more control over their data, allowing them to decide who tracks their information online. But on the other hand, the constant pop-ups can be pretty annoying. How many times have you clicked accept without even reading the fine print? Some people feel that the pop-ups lead to consent fatigue, where users just click yes to get rid of the prompt. And from a business perspective, many companies worry that the pop-ups turn users off, reducing the likelihood of engagement and, of course, data tracking. So what's next for Meta and the cookie consent law? Well, Meta is developing something called the Privacy Sandbox, a way to keep ad tracking alive while respecting user privacy. The Privacy Sandbox is meant to help Meta gather data within a regulated environment, finding a balance between user control and ad revenue. And while it's still in its early stages, it's clear that Meta and other tech giants are looking for ways to work around strict privacy laws while still retaining the power to track user behavior. Thanks for tuning in. This has been a dive into how one law changed the digital landscape and forced Meta to adapt in a major way. If you enjoyed today's episode of Bizarre Regs, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell for more strange and impactful laws in tech. And if you have thoughts on cookie pop-ups and online privacy, drop a comment below. Got a bizarre law from your country? Let us know and we might feature it in a future episode. This is Bizarre Regs, where we keep the world of tech weird, one law at a time. See you next time.